What is up, geometry students? 60s day here at St. Andrews. We're in the tie-dye bandana and talking about tangent lines. What is the key concept to a tangent line? It only touches our circle at one point and creates a 90-degree angle with the radius, which means these two lines, the radius and a line would be a line tangent to a circle would be perpendicular to each other. So if you know your slope of your radius, you should then know your slope of your tangent line that is perpendicular to the radius. We start with an easy question that we've worked on, which is equations of circles. We can see we have a center, which is one of the two most important parts of the circle. And then we have a radius, which we'll need to find. The center is at x equals -1 and y equals 2. So understanding that a circle's equation comes from the Pythagorean theorem, which deals with diagonal distances, we can at least fill out the first part that from -1 to xy, we have an x minus -1 change and a y minus 2 change. X plus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals my diagonal length radius squared. And now we just have to do some work with the points -1, 2, and -5, -1 to find this radius. So we can see from -1 to -5 that the x changes -4. From 2 to -1 that y changes -3. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I'll have 16, which is my x change squared, plus 9, which is my y change squared, equals c squared. 25 equals c squared. Now here's what's really interesting. The equation of a circle is, like a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I actually don't care that c is 5 because for the equation of the circle, I want c squared. And this is a very important thing that we talked about in our warm-up today and our entrance ticket. It's like, yeah, if your radius is the square root of 20, you actually don't have to simplify the square root of 20 to be 2 root 5 because you want c squared equals 20, not c equals root 20. Cool. This work is important here from the change being this -4 and this -3. We could also change that to a +4 over +3. Slopes that are negatives over negatives are the same as positive over positives. So the slope of our radius is 3/4. The length is 5. I might, yes, I might. Okay, I'm coming. Um, which means this line, the tangent line, will have a slope that's -4/3. We have the point -5, -1. We'll use that in the equation of a line. Again, it's all of the xy's that will attach to the point -5, -1, and have a slope of -4/3. This really comes from the slope equation. Y minus -1, x minus -5, and the m being -4/3. You can solve this equation for y, like y minus 1, or y minus -1, to get y plus 1 equals -4/3 x plus 5. Okay, cool. So that's really it. That was the big thing about the lesson, is the idea that tangent lines hit circles at one point and they're perpendicular to the circles. What is the equation of the circle? Centered at 4, -3, that has a radius of 2. So if the radius is 2, and I'm looking at any xy point that lies on the circle, I know I have a x change from 4, -3 to the point xy. The x change will be x minus 4. The y change will be y plus 3. Cool. A squared, x minus 4 squared, b squared, y plus 3 squared equals c squared. C squared I already know is 2, so c squared is 4. And you can always use your use Desmos to check your answers, guys. Now the question is, what is the equation of the tangent lines at the 4 points, the top and bottommost points, as well as the right and leftmost points of the circle? Well, this was the idea behind some questions that we asked before we got into circles of like, what are these top, bottom, left, rightmost points? Well, we can see, we can know that all we are changing is the y coordinate or the x coordinate depending on the direction that we're going in. So if I were to go up 2, I would go to the point 4, -1. If I were going down 2, I'd go to the point 4, -5. Now, what's interesting about the 3 points here, 4, -1, going through 4, -3 to 4, -5, they create a diameter, sure, but you can notice that the x coordinate is consistent. X equals 4, x equals 4, x equals 4. This is how I remember that x equals 4 is the equation of a vertical line. Okay, I'm actually not going to say x equals 4 is the tangent at either the point 4, -1 or the point 4, -5. But it does help me remember that x equals 4 would be a vertical line. If I went left and right, 2, I would get to the point 2, -3 and the point 6, -3. Now, if you look at these 3 points that create a diameter, -2, 2, -3 to 4, -3 to 6, -3, you can see the y coordinates are all consistent, and y would always be -3. So this diameter, this horizontal diameter, all the y's are -3. This helps me remember that horizontal lines have y equals equations. Those are not going to be the tangents, though, at 2, -3 and 6, -3. The tangents would be these vertical lines. But maybe through that examination, we remember, or we can figure out ourselves, that at the point 4, -1, which is the topmost point, there's a horizontal line that is tangent, and that horizontal line's equation is y equals -1. At the point 4, -5 is a horizontal tangent at this bottommost point, and the horizontal equation is y equals -5. All the points on this tangent line would have y coordinates of -1, and all the points on the other tangent line would have y coordinates of -5. Versus the other two vertical tangents at 2, -3, the equation would be x equals 2. All of the x coordinates on that vertical line would have the coordinate of 2. The y coordinates would change. And then at 6, -3, all the x coordinates would be 6. So x equals 6 is the equation of that line. So my 4 equations are x equals 2, x equals 6. That's at the leftmost point, the rightmost point, y equals -1, y equals 5. And a lot of students have a lot of difficulty understanding that horizontal lines are y equals equations and vertical lines are x equals equations. All right. We got the equation of the circle and the equation of the tangent. So the circle is centered at 4, 1. The point is -1, 3. Probably the easiest thing to do right now is to find the slope of this radius going from 4, 1 to 1, -3. And it doesn't matter which order you put it in. 1 to 3 is a change of 2, but 4 to -1 is a change of -5. So the slope of that line segment is -2/5, which means the slope of the tangent that goes through -1, 3 is going to be 5/2. So the equation of the tangent is y -3 equals 5/2 x plus 1. That's probably easier to do than the equation of the circle. Now, at least we kind of done this enough. We know the beginning of the circle focuses on the center, x -4 squared plus y -1 squared. Now we just need the radius squared. Well, we already did the work on the x change and the y change. So the x change is -5. -5 squared is 25. The y change is 2, so 2 squared is 4, which gives me c squared is 29. Now, remember, for the equation of any point xy on a circle, that as a distance of root 29, we have the x change of x minus 4, the y change of y minus 1, and then a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If students make any difficulty with equations of circles, they put root 29 as the r squared or the c squared. They forget that it's not r, it's r squared. So c squared is the value we want, 29 is the value that we want. The next one has a center at -1, 3, and we're looking at the tangent at 1, 0. So might as well look at the x change and the y change of +2 and -3. So that slope from the center to the point 1, 0 is -3/2, which means the slope of the tangent at the point 1, 0, since it's a perpendicular line, would be 2/3. So I'll have y minus 0 equals 2/3 x minus 1. And let's go ahead and find this radius length. A squared is 9, b squared is 4, equals c squared. C squared is 13. So I want c squared. Yes, c is root 13. That's the radius of the circle. So r is root 13. However, for the equation of the circle, I'll have x plus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 13c squared. And again, where does that equation come from? It just comes from the Pythagorean theorem. What is the equation of the line tangent to the circle centered at 3, 2 that contains the point 6, 3? So really all I need for this is not even the radius, not the equation of the circle. I just need to understand that this point 6, 3 is the point where our tangent line is going to pass through. Cool. I need the slope of this radius that starts at 3, 2 and goes to 6, 3, and I find that the slope is 1/3 y over x's, which means the tangent line is going to be y minus 3 equals -3 x minus 6. And just for this question, because we haven't checked already, and what you guys should do, especially when you're taking like your entrance tickets, and if you're allowed to use Desmos on your tests, which I'm going to push for, is you should like graph. Now maybe having the equation, like, let's go back to the previous one. Being able to check and make sure you're correct is really powerful these days. Like, rewarding, having everything line up. So this should have a, so the equation x plus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 13 should have a center at -1, 3. Okay, that works. It should have the point 1, 0. That works. And the equation y minus 0 equals 2/3 x minus 1 should be tangent. And it's like beautiful that you could see your work. Now, this question that we just did, you would need to produce the equation of the circle to be able to check that your equation y minus 3 equals -3x minus 6 is tangent to it. And I can do that really quickly, honestly. The equation of my circle here would be x minus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 10, which would be c squared. I can see the point 32. I can see the point 63. And I can check that y minus 3 equals -3 x minus 6 is that tangent. It's just beautiful to be able to see. Now, we bring us to the last two questions, which students have the most difficulty on. It's like, what if I give you that a circle has tangents at y equals 10, y equals 4, x equals negative 5, x equals 1. Well, what I'm going to do is actually graph these in Desmos just so I can kind of see what does that look like. Well, just double checking y equals 10 is that horizontal line. Y equals 4 is a horizontal line. X equals negative 5 is a vertical line. X equals 1 is a vertical line. What's really important to understand is like how your circle fits in these 4 lines. Like, man, the middle of these 4 points, these 4 lines, would be the middle of the circle. My circle would hit the y equals 10 line at the top. My circle would hit the x equals 1 line on the right. My circle would hit the y equals 4 line on the bottom. It would hit the x equals minus 5 line on the left. I can see the distance between y equals 10 and y equals 4 is 6. I can see the distance from x equals negative 5 to x equals 1 is 6. I can see that the center is 3 away from all of these lines. I can kind of see that if it's 3 up from y equals 4, it would have a y coordinate of 7. I can see if it's 3 down from y equals 10, it'd be a y coordinate of 7. I can see if it's 3 to the right of x equals negative 5, it would be x equals negative 2. I can see it's 3 to the left of x equals 1, it'd be x equals negative 2. I can see the center is at negative 2, 7. I can see that the radius has to be 3 if it's to this middle point. So x plus 2 squared plus y minus 7 squared, this is going to be beautiful, equals 3 squared. Booyah, there's my circle that fits so nicely in these 4 tangent lines. And let's see if you guys can do that on the next problem number, or the last question, where the tangents are y equals negative 3, x equals 4, y equals negative 7, and x equals 10. This doesn't work. Change this to 8. I gotta change it on your homework, which I will. Y equals negative 3, x equals 4, y equals negative 7, x equals 8. Let me write down the answer to this question. All right, well, y negative 3 to y equals negative 7 is negative 4. Y equals 4 to y equals 8 is positive 4. I can see that the lines are 4 away from each other. X equals 4, x equals 8. Y equals negative 7, y equals negative 3. All of these lines are 4 away from each other. So that means to get to the middle, I got to go 2 up, 2 down, 2 left, 2 right from the outsides just to get to the middle. You can see the radius is going to be 2. If I go in between the y's, I have a y of negative 5. If I go in between the x's, I have an x of 6. So I have the equation x minus 6 squared plus y plus 5 squared equals my radius squared, which is 4. And I'm going to show that y equals negative 3, x equals 4, y equals negative 7, x equals 8. There are my 4 lines. They're 4 away from each other, bringing us to a center of 6, negative 3. What was it? 6, negative 5. With a radius of 2, with a radius squared of 4. All right. Cool. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you out there. Review day Wednesday, test Friday. Peace.